Hey everyone. So, today I'm doing a top 10 list. What's the catch? This isn't movie related. I know, crazy, right? What kind of dimension is this? I'm doing a top 10 list that's not movie related. Why is that? Well, you see, this top 10 list I'm doing is not movie related, but more so related to me. It's a list regarding me and what I like and what I don't like. I feel like a lot of people have been asking me, what do you think of this? Or have you seen this? When I really do want to get something clear out there. So, doesn't have so many questions out there. So I'm hoping people that I talk to personally will watch this video. If not, then it's sort of pointless, but still. What I'm doing in this top 10 list, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 things that I know a lot of people, especially my age, love, but I don't. And they aren't all things that I despise. They're things I'm not really have interest with. They're things that I don't have the kind of energy with that everyone else does. Everyone else has this as part of their love of things, and while I don't, it's not something I love. It's not something I like. And this list I decided to divide into two parts. For number 10 to 6 are going to be things that I don't haven't really seen at all. So like it's not that I don't like them, I'm just not interested in them, It's not something I'm interested in getting to know. Or not something I want to dislike or like, you know what I mean? And then for the things I do actually have a dislike for, that will be for the top 5. And overall, this is going to be a top 10 list. And to make it movie related, I had each interest, each picture for each part of the list be a clip from a movie that to help kind of set the theme right. So yeah, for this top 10 list, I decided to have each category have a movie picture to match what I'm talking about to kind of keep the movie related stuff involved. So this is the top 10 list of the top 10 things everyone loves, what I personally don't have much interest with. Get it? Let's go. Sure. I like to read sometimes, but reading novels in general, that's not really my thing. I'm talking about the idea of binge reading novels. Now, I know there are a lot of novels out there that people love. Like, there's the Stephen King books, of course, and there's all those other famous book franchises out there. And do I read novels at all? Well, I have read some before. However, it's mostly when I have to. I'm not really a fan of binge reading novels, I don't like it's not that I don't like novels, but I kind of have that thing where I'm not really able to read too good if the words are too small or it's like a lot of pages of long like words. And I don't know, I don't really have that kind of memory strike to work with it. I'm better when it comes to seeing something, when I get to see something happen. If I have to read it for the sake of words, I'm just not gonna have the best job remembering it. I work better doing that if it's small little details or if it's, something that's serious. If it's something that's not a ton of pages or very small words, then I can do it. But novels are things that have a ton of pages and a ton of chapters, and I'm not really able to work too well with it. Like I said, the novels I have read were mostly just ones I had to do for the sake of my English classes in middle school. When it comes to reading for fun, I don't do that much. I'm more into watching things, and don't take that as I can't read because I can. I do read still. Just I don't binge read novels. That's all you have to know. I can read some books time to time, but when it comes to binge reading novels, I don't do that. The idea of marriage. I know you might be saying I should be too young to be thinking about that, but then again, am I? I am 19 years old. I'm getting closer and closer to the point where I would have the chance to get married. However, I don't want to. I know a lot of people who get married. A lot of people I talk to are starting to get engaged now. It's getting crazy. Like I remember talking to these people. Now they're wanting to get married. If you saw a short I did last year of a wedding I went to, that was my cousin, who I secretly had a crush on as a child before I knew she was my cousin. It's a weird thing to point out, but that's just funny to think about. Anyway, yeah, she got married last year, and I like that. I appreciate it. If that was her choice, so that's good. It's just not something I would want to do. I know that growing up is going to be a really difficult challenge. There's going to be a lot of more responsibilities, and it's going to be hard. So, I'm kind of trying to focus on what I want to accomplish as a grown up, what career I want. I feel like getting married is going to kind of put a barrier between that because I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot that marriage can do to you. You can be, it's very happy when you do get married, but after a couple of months, we know a lot of people have portrayed that. But yeah, it can be hard, and my parents have shown me that. Don't want to annoy them, but yeah, I just don't think I can work with that. Haven't really had a long time girlfriend before, and I am a virgin still, so those are kind of big factors. So because of all that, I don't really think I have any plans on getting married. I'm not saying I'm 100%, but it's just not something I feel like it's going to be really fun for me. Online gaming. Now, I play video games. Yes, you saw that short I did where I talked about how I don't play as many video games, but I do still play them. However, online role playing games, the games that a lot of people have been playing or streaming on, yeah, I don't do that. I use a computer a lot. Like I'm using it right now for this video. I just don't play games on them. When I want to play video games, I always feel like the best way to do it is on a console on the TV, as as the intent was. I mean, I know online gaming on the computer is still a very popular way for video games, and I know that many video game creators like to focus on that idea, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a more convenient way to play games when I'm playing them on my TV. And I just never gone into too much of what online computer games are out. So anytime there's a video game out, I play it if it's one for my Nintendo console on the TV. If it's something that's made for PC, I just don't really work with it. I feel like I just have a more better time when I'm playing them in my own home, not when I'm trying to do it on my computer. I already have a lot of stuff I have to do on my computer. I have classwork, I have editing stuff, I have a lot of things on my computer. It's kind of hard to explain it. It's the keyboard too. There's a lot of controls that you have to remember for the keyboard. I'm better off just playing whatever video games come out on Nintendo consoles and work with that. And you could argue what about handhelds because they're portable too. Well, again, they have a simple control set, and there aren't too many I have to be focused on. I don't have to worry about too much space on something that I need to use for more academic purposes. I just don't think PC gaming is something I really gotten into wanting to do. Now, this is the one thing on this entire list that's movie related, the Harry Potter movies. I talked earlier about how I'm not really into binge reading novels, so obviously you know that I haven't ever read the Harry Potter novels. But for someone who's seen a lot of movies, it's surprising to know that I have not taken the interest in watching the Harry Potter movies. Why? I just didn't really get the chance to be interested in them as a child, and to this day, I decided, no, I don't want to really that much. I don't know. I guess wizards. What do I have a problem with wizards? No, I mean wizards kind of cool. I mean, there's a lot of action I know, and you can. A lot of fans do fall in love with these movies, and there's a lot of franchises I fall in love with. It's hard to explain. I guess I just, since I wasn't too interested with watching the movies as a child, it just hasn't didn't strike me that much well as a grown up. I did make a video a while back about the top 10 franchises I'm not really interested in, and it hasn't changed too much. Some of those franchises on that list I still have the same opinion on. Not hating them, just not really interested in going through them. Harry Potter is still, yes, the one that I don't really. I know a lot of people love these movies, talk about them a lot. I just, for one, don't really, never really got into it at first, and I just can't really work to it. It's not. I haven't. It's not that I tried to watch and failed to work to it. Well, okay, actually, to be fair, I have done that, but I don't know. I just can't really do to it. So there's a lot of movies I'll watch, but in terms of franchises, I just never feel the interest to go through. Harry Potter is one of them. So you can question it all you want, but I'm sorry, I just don't think I'll ever feel the urge to want to watch these movies. Anime. All anime. Have I mentioned it before? Maybe. I don't know. If I haven't, I'm not into watching anime. Is it because I hate anime? Is it because I hate the Japanese? Am I racist? No, not at all. The reason, it's more so because of the animation style. This is another thing that I wasn't interested into as a child, and from there it just went on to when I got older, and I still just didn't take the interest at that age. And I think it's more so with how the animation plays out. I'm actually a lot. I'm someone who's more into animation that's smooth. The kind that moves at a nice smooth pace and can run better. And you could argue, so is that just you saying you prefer modern 3D animation over the classic 2D style? You Gen Z boot. Well, it's not that. There are a lot of 2D animated movies I love, and even in the past, there have been those that can move smoothly. Like I know a lot of anime movies from the 40s and 50s that have a smooth animation style, particularly the Disney stuff. Anime moves at with less frames in them, and because of that, I just don't really get the hype and enjoyment to it. And I don't like really all the design, the drawings to them. They just don't. I don't really think they have much of a settling feel to it. They're not the kind that I can watch in a comfortable manner. I can sometimes just sit there and not really get too comfortable with what I'm watching. I'm not really referred to it. I feel like it's too much of that hard movement and designs to the character. Like this picture, for example, it's not something I can enjoy. Anime goes in a lot of ways. There's tons of anime out there that everyone loves. There's Dragon Ball, One Piece, Pokemon, of course, and yes, in terms of movies, everyone talks about the Studio Ghibli stuff. I know Studio Ghibli is a acclaimed studio of animated films, but my disinterest in watching anime was why I haven't seen any of those movies. I'm sorry to hurt you all, but between me just not having that interest in the kind of movement and design that anime has, and the fact that I'm not someone who enjoys watching movies that aren't in any way English language, that just kind of prevents me from really going through anime, even though I know tons of people, if not everyone else, has a love for it. Alright, now we're getting into the stuff that I do have an actual dislike for, starting with live concerts. Now, yeah, here's the thing. Live concerts, when you go, I'm talking about like when you go out to a stadium to hear a concert live. I don't like it. I've I haven't tried it, I haven't done it too many times, but I remember since the last time I've experienced it, I don't really like the idea to it. It's because, like, it's more so because I, I don't really get the kind of feel I would get when hearing the song on the radio live. You're supposed to get the enjoyment of the band in person, but I don't feel it because there's a lot of things preventing the enjoyment to it. There's the loud audience crowd that honestly I'm sure a lot of people would hear more of any actual song playing. There's the fact that they don't play the song the same manner as you would hear on the radio with the less microphone features and audio techniques. It just doesn't sound the same as it does on the radio, and for that matter, I just wasn't able to work with it. So like anytime a live band, let's say AC/DC for example, they have great music. But if I were to hear them play that song live, it wouldn't sound as exciting, I feel like, because they're doing it live. We have to hear them in their natural voice of what they're at right now. And it's not the same as how exciting it would be if you heard the radio version. That's just what I feel. I feel it's not really that exciting if the song doesn't sound as exciting, and if there's all those loud people who are kind of preventing you from trying to enjoy the music in general. If I hear all that loud noise around me preventing me from the song, I just probably would lose my ability to hear and my ability to speak because I'm trying to scream so much. You want to get them to know you, but they're not going to be able to because there's so many of you. You want them to be like, you want to be like, hey, it's me, I'm a fan of yours. But I mean, unless you stand up or make a scene, you're not going to get that because you're one in so many. And because of that, I just never got the urge to go to any more live concerts. So there's a ton of famous artists I love, but anytime they go do a live concert, I'm not going to be there. Speaking of music, Taylor Swift is one I don't like. Yeah, I know this is something that's hard to admit. With people don't believe me when I want to say this, but I just don't like Taylor Swift's music. Does it mean I hate all of her songs? No, no, no. There are some of her songs I do like, particularly the country stuff she did in the 2000s. Ever since she moved into more standard pop with all the other big artists, that's when I started to lose more and more interest in her, and from there, yeah, I just don't like her music. Most of her songs range from dumb lyrics to lazy vocals, and I don't know. I just can't work with it. I've heard a lot of her songs. I know what her songs are like, and barely can I get into the music because they all have those dumb moments, those dumb lyrics, and they're just not the kind I like. And it's sad because I'm surprised on how many people love Taylor Swift. I used to think it was just my sister, but no, millions love her. There's Swifties, that's the term. There's tons of albums. There's tons of live performances, tons of things about her. She is big and huge, and I can't stand it because there are tons of artists I love, but Taylor Swift is not one of them. You know, there's tons of female artists out there I'm a big fan of. I love Adele, I love Pink, I love Britney Spears even. I love Lady Gaga. I do not love Taylor Swift. And it's unfortunate that she seems to be getting a lot more attention from the masses and has a lot more money and a lot more fandom than any of those artists I've mentioned. So yeah, despite all the fandom, I'm just never going to become a Taylor Swift fan because I just never found her music appealing. Nor did I find the fact that she re releases most of her music, calls them her version, and we're supposed to assume those are new songs. I don't get that either. Come on, you gotta, even Swift fans have to admit that's stupid. Let's just move on. This is soda. Any soda. Soda in general, like Pepsi, Coca Cola, Dr. Pepper, Sprite, Fanta, any soda in general, I do not like. You know, it's carbohydrate. It's the taste. It doesn't work. There's so much carbon involved in soda that when I drink it, I don't really get the nice sweet taste that I want. All I get is all that stuff that's messing with my mouth. It doesn't. I don't feel hydrated. I feel. I just feel very. My mouth just doesn't get to the taste of it. So I don't really feel satisfied when I drink soda. So that's why I barely drink it. I've only drank it a couple times when I was forced to or when I wanted to try it, but no, it doesn't have the taste. I can't feel satisfied when I drink a soda. I just don't get that taste to it. It's all that carbohydrate involved and it's preventing me from tasting the sweet or flavor that soda is supposed to provide. If you see me at a restaurant or at a party, I'm there to drink water, lemonade, Gatorade, mostly. I am not there for Pepsis or Sprites because I know those are what you're mostly gonna have. So if you want to invite me to a party, you better get the water and lemonades out because that's what I'm gonna drink. Sprites, Coca Cola, any of that soda, no, not for me. I'm sorry, I won't work with it. As the use of AI, this is a clip from a movie that's literally called AI. And yeah, no. AI has become so huge ever since the past 2 years. It's so many people have been using it. There's been so many new features on these computers that give us the access to AI features. Like, of course, there's Chat GPT and all that, and so many things to it. There's lots of uses with it. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't use any of them. I do not, or at least I try not to. Anytime the computer recommends I use an AI tool, I'm like, nope, not using it because it's stupid and there's been lots of reasons why AI just should not be taking over what I will think. A lot of my college classes have talked about using AI, and obviously they don't want us using it. But it's okay because I don't anyway. I do not want to use AI to work on everything. When I ask questions and stuff, I'll look up different websites. And sure, you may argue, well, maybe AI is being used for those websites. Maybe Wikipedia is using AI or such. But anytime I see something acknowledged as being used by AI, that's when I will definitely take the consideration of not using it. Maybe I have been tricked into using it with some of these sites I go on, but if I do see something that say that it was made with AI, that's when I know I'm not using it because it just I do not want AI in our future. I don't want I want a future where everyone uses their own thought process to work with things out. If AI keeps getting used, we'll get more of those stupid remakes of movies, more of those basic plots, more of those unneeded things, more of those. We'll get actors coming back to life for the sake of AI recreation. We'll get movies that are just made by AI in general, and I don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that. We want effort from actual humans. We don't want to see actors come back to life as AI thing. We don't want to see AI write our movies. We don't want to see it write our life or anything. I hope more people know that. And for the sake of that, that's just why I think that I just don't want to use AI at all, or at least from what I would know is AI. So if I'm on the computer, if I'm working stuff, if I'm doing research, I'm going to, or at least try to, not use any AI tools. As much as Google tries to recommend them to me, I'm not using them. Number one, God forbid me, this is everywhere. Everyone uses this. It's unescapable. Every person I meet has this. It's one of the. I feel like I honestly think it's one of the reasons why I don't have more subscribers. TikTok is huge. It is a super popular social media site that everyone's on. Even my goddamn parents are on. Why? Why must you consume maybe my parents? Come on now. We all so many people have made fun of it on YouTube because, us YouTubers like to make fun of TikTok because we like to use YouTube. We don't want TikTok getting all of our subscribers. We have so many people wanting to watch our videos, but TikTok takes them away from us. But that's not the reason why I hate TikTok. I hate it because nothing about it's funny. I've watched it before. My mom has tried to show me a bunch of TikToks to tell me it's funny, but no. All it is people using audio from movies or shows or playing different music or even sometimes remixing the music in the background of something that has nothing to do with it. I don't see how that's funny. That's mostly what it is. Any TikTok that doesn't do that, that doesn't have forced um, bad acting or some of those, moments where they just have something pointless playing in the background, those are the kind I don't want to watch. Again, maybe I do watch some shorts on YouTube, so you could argue, well, maybe I'm getting tricked into watching a TikTok. But like I said, if it's something that um has doesn't have that kind of stuff, that dumb basic AI voice, the music playing in the background, the cringy dancing, the audio from a TV show or movie playing in the background, even though it has no reason for it, those are just not funny to me. And again, it shows people with no effort. It's showing a kind of comedy that I do not want to see. I want to see comedy come from us. I don't want to see it come from something that exists and we just remix it or edit it to be like, oh, hey, we did that. And no, I can't do it. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to stop it other than just not use it because, yeah, I don't use TikTok. I don't have the app. I don't binge it. I don't like it. Nothing that it tries to benefit from is funny. I've seen so many ways of it getting banned. I've heard a lot about countries wanting to ban it. And every time I hear news that it gets banned somewhere, I pour out the champagne. I remember earlier this January, it was unavailable to use, and I was like, party. But then the next day it came back, and it's like, oh. So hopefully more people can join me in saying that TikTok is just not the kind of humor I like. And if you argue that maybe I shouldn't be so critical of what other people think is good humor, then that's fine. But between this and I feel like both of them have a connection with taking over our kind of way of communicating. So, you know, I just think both of these things deserve to stop being so popular because if they are, then we have a corrupted humanity.